Hi, this is Dorothy Guining with Scrapbooking Quebec, a YouTube channel that makes scrap lifting easy. I give step-by-step instructions with measurements, so you're not left wondering, what the heck did she just do? The products I'll be using for this page all come from the new Stampin' Up! 2019 Occasions catalog. However, you can scrap lift this design with basic tools and materials from your stash. All you will need are 2 photos, paper, decorations, something to create a title, and a straight trimmer. The material and tools I'll be using are all listed in the information box below this video. Now here are the papers, stamps, and 2 sets of dies that I'll be using. I'll speak more about these products as the video proceeds, but I want you to take note. I'm using 7 different papers in addition to the black and white cardstock. Now the first thing I'm going to do is prepare a frame style foundation with 3 layers of paper. So I'm gutting this black and white diagonal stripe, and I already prepared the black and white cardstock. And as you can see, I also gutted the black cardstock. So in reality, these 3 layers only consist of 1 full sheet of paper. Now the next step is to create a layered border across the top of the page. Cut 3 strips of printed paper, and the paper I'm using is called Botanical Butterflies, and it's a new collection from Stampin' Up! One side is colorful, the other side is all black and white, and it's given as a gift if you purchase $60 worth of product. It's $50 if you live in the United States. Most of my layout is going to be placed across this border. 2 photos, the large title block, as well as a good chunk of the decorations. Now, in a moment, I'm going to be layering photos and paper cut with the rectangle stitch dies. Those are one of the sets of dies I showed you at the beginning of the video. Now, the measurements of those rectangles are a little wonky. So for this video, I am going to write the measurements to the nearest 1/4 inch. I'm assuming most of you will be using a straight trimmer. And for those of you using the rectangles, just use the rectangles that are closest to the measurements written on the screen. Now I cut some of these rectangles in advance with this gingham paper, and that's also part of a new collection from Stampin' Up! Called Gingham Gala. It comes in 5 different colors. It's a 6x6 paper pack, and it happens to coordinate perfectly with that Botanical Butterfly paper. Now the next step here is to create a title. Now I'm using the Amazing Life stamp set, and it makes it quite a large title what I'm using here, so you can obviously create the title you like with stamps. It can be with letter stickers, die cut, whatever you want. Now this stamp set I'm using coordinates with those stitched rectangle dies. You're not going to be able to see it here on the screen, but these dies emboss a double layer of stitching around the edge. There's one around the edge of the cutout and one around the edge of the negative cutout. I made 2 other rectangles with that kit in blue and black, so I'm going to create quite a large title block here, and I added some foam adhesive underneath the blue in order to pop that up a bit. Those are going to be layered across that border, but I'm not going to adhere this right away. I'm going to work a bit on the bottom of the page. And basically, even though most of the visual weight is at the top of this page, I'm just going to add a bit of repetition at the bottom. So I cut 2 strips of paper, a little bit narrower than what is on top, and they are going to go on the bottom of the page. I did my journaling on the computer, printed it, and I also used those rectangle stitched dies to cut that out. And I made a photo mat, so to speak, a black one to place behind the journaling. So I'm going to adhere these strips, but I'm not going to adhere any of the rectangles yet because I want to work on the decorations. Now, I'm going to use those Butterfly Beauty Thinlits. I showed you those dies as well at the beginning of the video. However, you can create a decoration cluster with whatever you have on hand. You can use die cuts, you can use ephemera. What's important here is that you create a large embellishment cluster that will be placed behind that title block. Now I'm going to use these dies, and there are a lot of dies in this kit, but there are two main ones, and they're made to put one on top of the other, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. I'm going to cut out one with this foil paper. Again, that is another collection of paper that is offered as a gift with $60 of product from Stampin' Up. That is a promotion that's happening until the end of March 2019. So I cut that out, and I'm going to use another large die, and I'm going to cut a butterfly cluster in black. This one is basically the same as the first one I cut out, except it's a little bit thinner. So it adds like an outline on top of the other butterflies. For those of you familiar with the Big Shot, there are many different platforms, and I'm using simply the magnetic platform. I'm not using the precision plate. Even though this is quite a detailed die, it cuts out very well with a basic platform. The most difficult thing was adhering this detailed piece to the larger piece at the bottom, but I managed. I just am basically sticking a bit of adhesive on the bodies of these butterflies, and I'm good to go with that. Now the result here is quite a stunning decoration, or I think it is anyway, for very little effort. And I'm going to be placing that behind the title block on this border. Now some of those butterflies are hidden, so I'm going to snip one of them, and that's going to go on my page elsewhere. So now that I know where my decorations are going to be placed, I'm going to adhere my page parts to the page. After I do this, I am going to add just a few more decorations, and the decorations are going to go from the bottom right-hand corner by the journaling box up towards the left top corner. But the biggest decoration is going to be in the middle behind the title block there. And so ultimately the decorations form a diagonal design across the page. I cut out some butterflies in advance with that same set of dies because there are a lot of little ones as well. So that's what I used in the other areas. Earlier in the video, I asked you to take note. I'm using 7 different papers on this page in addition to the cardstock. And the reason why I said this is because the result of this layout is quite a clean layout, and often the more pattern papers you use, the more difficult that is to achieve. Now, there are a lot of scrapbookers out there that can use 25 different papers and come up with the most beautiful pages. However, in general, the more paper you use, the more different prints you use, the more difficult it is to achieve a clean look, if that's what you're going for. Now, the reason why I succeeded here, I believe, mainly for 2 reasons. I used them in small bits, and my background is mostly white. Also, there is a lot of white space around the main part of the layout, around this grouping of photos, decoration, and title. So that gives room for the eye to breathe. Also, the paper is well coordinated, even if it doesn't all come from the same collection. The blue underneath the title comes from a different collection. The gingham underneath the photos comes from a different collection, but it does coordinate. And even that foil paper, that is the same color that is found in the butterflies on the blue paper. And one final thing that I'm sure helps, there's a lot of neutrals in here. There's one main pop of color, and that's blue, and the rest are all neutrals except for that little bit of pink, which is kind of secondary. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to Scrapbooking Quebec. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it inspires you to do some scrapbooking. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.